patient voice. Whole drug programs have been approved or rejected based on it. And now we have the opportunity and privilege to work with families and caregivers and the patients themselves to begin and advance and accelerate therapeutic programs.
I think for me, one of the most important learnings that I've had in the course of developing treatments for rare disease patients is just how different patient responses could be, and the importance of a patient-centric approach in identifying and evaluating treatments for rare disease. The variability between patients and even within a given patient, based on age, time course of disease, can be fairly substantial, and it's absolutely critical that each patient become the center of focus with respect to developing their approach as to what treatment potentially could work and how best to evaluate that over the course of time.
Developing treatment for rare disease patients is something that I find truly inspiring. And one thing that I've learned is just how complex these diseases are. Often they affect multiple biological pathways and organ systems at once, and proper understanding of disruptive functions and how they integrate across the body is essential to identifying the right treatment for each patient.
The one thing that I've learned about developing treatments for rare disease patients is that because it's an uncharted territory, each new disease or sometimes each new patient requires us to look at the data from a new angle and just go back to the drawing board for pretty much each one of them. And it comes with a lot of challenges, obviously, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun.
Well, I've cared for some pretty sick patients in the ICU, so I'm used to high pressure situations and urgency. But after working at Unravel in the rare disease space, I've learned that it's definitely a unique type of challenge. Like in the hospital, we've always had detailed protocols for almost every situation, and I had like a little cheat sheet attached to my ID card for IV drip titration and entire teams of doctors to work with and consult with. But in rare diseases, most of the time, none of these options and references exist for these families. And so there's no standard treatment, no handy reference sheet, very limited research, if any, and just a lot of unknowns.
What I learned in the last 6 months is that behind all the data that I go through every day, there are patients, there are families, there are kids that truly need answers and need help and need solutions, and we got to deliver them.
One of the biggest things I've learned working in rare diseases is that there's no such thing as an average patient. Even if two people hold the same diagnosis, the underlying biology driving their diseases can be completely different. Developing treatments for rare diseases has taught me that precision is a necessity, and when we truly understand and respect each patient's unique biology, we unlock options that didn't exist before.
One thing that I've learned working with rare disease patients is how much of a difference a community can make when they're working together. During my time at Unravel, I've been lucky enough to work with patients, caregivers, parents, foundations, and clinicians, and it's been so inspiring to see how much of a difference everyone can make as a unified front.
Working on developing treatments for rare disease patients has taught me just how urgent their problems are and how to work quickly with relatively limited data sets. It has also taught me how to use patients, families, and caregivers as a resource because they know the patients best and they know what's best for them.
So one thing that I've learned from working on developing treatments for rare disease patients is that how much of responsibility my work carries. So I work in the wet lab, I test drugs in disease models to see if they could help patients. So this process here is really important for me to make sure that the results are also reliable. So this has taught me to be more focused and careful because each data that we're going to generate can give hope and can make a real difference for patients and their family.
Working on rare disease treatments teaches you that data is precious and a limited resource. Unlike common conditions where you have thousands of patients for clinical trials, rare disease often involves small, geographically scattered population. This forced me to appreciate the N of 1 perspective, where every single patient's data point is vital and important. It shifts the focus from broad statistical averages to deep personalized science, proving that innovation isn't just about big numbers. It's about making the most of the information you have.
One thing I've observed working in the rare disease ecosystem is that there's this really big and common misconception that patients, families, and foundations are only the end consumer of a therapeutic or a general drug product. And what I've learned is that this cannot be further from the truth. We have met and we've worked with so many visionary and extremely motivated foundations and families that are truly the ones driving drug discovery and therapeutic discovery forward into the clinic. And what I've learned is that they're not just the end consumer, they are a reliable, motivated partner that you need to have on your side.
Working in rare disease has taught me that every patient has their own story and that every rare disease family lives with real urgency. So success for us isn't just developing a drug. It's about listening and learning to patients and caregivers, and then building treatments that are grounded in strong science, matched to the right patients, and built to deliver meaningful impact quickly.
Helping a rare disease patient is not just something I do as a job, it's also something I have to do for my own kid. The one thing that strikes me the most every single time is their smile. At the end of the day, they just want to be happy, and that's why everybody needs to go all in.